Hey, welcome to the Heaven and Business podcast, where we help you navigate the messy intersection between faith, family, and business. You're with Janine Mason. Glad to have you here with us today. I want to talk to you about a recent trip that we did to Zimbabwe. You might have heard Andy talk about some of the challenges there, some of the challenges in getting there. It took us 60 hours. Yes, you heard that right, 60 hours to get there. Should have taken us about 24, 36 hours, and that was doubled just due to plane delays and all sorts of craziness. But I wanted to share some stories with you just about the things that I learned, the things that kind of became really obvious to me, and just what that means for us in our everyday lives. And I want to start by telling you about actually this morning when I went to the gym. So I go to the gym most days, 6 days a week. You'll find me there doing a class. Often it's a step class. But when I get to the gym, because I want to make sure I'm there on time to set up my space, get ready for the class, I'm often there earlier than the class actually starts. And so what I do to make the most of the time is that I head up to the indoor track. And so you go around the track each morning, and I'm a walker. I'm not a runner, but I share the track with all sorts of other people. And so this morning was a fairly busy morning because it's rainy outside here in Nashville. And so I turn up to the track and there's people who walk really fast. I'm a pretty fast walker. There was one lady that was there who was walking the other day. I was sharing the track and she was walking faster than me. That's pretty unusual. I'm usually walking past other walkers, but today I decided to keep up with her. So I'm doing my fast walk, not far behind this other fast walker. But then there's people who are older, people who are recovering from injuries, people who are just there playing on their phone and kind of wandering around the track. And there's some joggers and there's some runners. Well, what's all this got to do with anything? The thing that I notice is that everybody's there and they're doing their own pace, and everybody is there and they've got their own goals, and I can kind of put my goals on top of them without realizing it and think, well, you should be doing this or you should be doing that. But the reality is I don't know what other people's goals are. And so the other day when I was in the track doing my walking, there was a lady there and she was jogging. She would jog for about maybe half a lap, and then she would stop and she'd walk. Then she was recovering, so she'd walk slowly. And in the whole time that we were there sharing the track, she never once actually went past me. And I thought, well, that's interesting. In my mind, I'm thinking you'd be better just to walk, like just walk quickly and keep up the same pace, and you'd increase your fitness. And then I had to remind myself, hang on a minute, I don't know what her goal is. My goal is to get some extra steps. My goal is to make the most of the time when I'm waiting for my class. But I don't know what her goal is. I don't know what her limitations are. And so I have to just be okay with just being there and doing my own thing and pushing my own boundaries, going for my own goals and not worrying about anybody else. Likewise, the people who are walking the slowest, could look at me and say, well, if they looked at me, they could get discouraged if they focus on the fact that they're not walking as fast as me. But if they focus on their goal and what they're there to achieve, then they can be okay with that. So what has all that got to do? I'm about to tell you some stories of Africa, of being in Zimbabwe and facing some fears and going beyond my boundaries, what feels comfortable for me. And you could listen and say, well, that seems crazy. Like what you're talking about is so outlandishly scary to me that I just don't even relate to you. Or maybe you think, well, what you're talking about, that's not that scary, and would need something more. That's okay. Don't focus on the details of whether you're a walker, a runner, a jogger in the story, or whether you're an adrenaline junkie or somebody who just, terrified to do anything like that. Focus on the fact that we are all called to go outside our comfort zone, where I think it's healthy for all of us to do beyond what feels comfortable, beyond what feels safe, and step out. Don't live in that zone where you are always terrified, where you're always having to do something that's crazy. But I do think it's good for us to step outside of that. So we arrived in Zimbabwe 60 hours late. We missed some of our ministry, had an amazing time. We've been there. This is my third time to Zimbabwe. Loved just hearing the stories of people that we had touched and ministered to last year, and got the privilege of hearing from them. Some of the things, how they had prophetic words from our team, and how that had really shaped what they've done in the last year. So that was super encouraging. Did the ministry, had time with the people in the church, fantastic, reconnected to the pastor and the team there. It was an amazing time. Then we take our business people and we have some fun at the end of that. And so this year that looked like a couple of days at Metetsi 6, which is a hunting concession, a place where you go, there's no fences, but the animals are there, and we get to go on game drives and see the animals. It was amazing. Saw all sorts of elephant and giraffe and zebra, all sorts of antelope. Amazing, amazing, amazing. The part I want to focus on is then we went back to Victoria Falls. Victoria Falls is huge, if you don't know, a huge waterfall. It runs between Zambia and Zimbabwe. It's about, I looked it up this morning, it's about 108 meters, that's 350 odd feet high, and massively wide. Beautiful. You can see the spray from the waterfall from 30 kilometers away. It's a huge deal. Have seen that, had the privilege of seeing that for the first time last year, and went back this year. So at the Victoria Falls, you go and look at the falls, and nearby there's a restaurant nearby that, because there's lots of people there. There are people selling all sorts of adventure packages. And so we asked the crew who would like to do a gorge swing. Now, gorge swing is exactly what it sounds like. You stand at the top of that very, very high gorge. You walk out on a little platform with all your safety gear on, and you step into oblivion and free fall for 3 seconds, and then swing out over the gorge. I'm terrified of heights. So Andy decided that he would like to do the gorge swing this year. And to be honest, I struggled even to watch him. It made the pit of my stomach just do flips. It was terrifying. I kind of watched him step off, then I couldn't watch, and then I watched to make sure he was swinging and still alive at the bottom. I knew that for me, the gorge swing was too far beyond my comfort zone. It just was like, I knew that I could make the decision, I could get all the safety gear on, I could get up there, but I don't think that I would have been able to take that step off. I just wasn't able to do that. But another option on the menu of things that you could do was a zip line across that same gorge from basically the same platform. And so because it was not much more expensive, I said to Andy, will you do that with me? So I half watched him do his gorge swing. He loved it, hated it, was terrified, all the things. And then as I'm watching and waiting my turn, it's now my time to get on the zip line above this gorge. And I was fine, a little nervous, but I got my safety gear on. Now, back in the back of my mind is the fact that we had been talking about that maintenance, maintaining things so that they don't break, is not necessarily Zimbabwe's strong point. So in the back of your mind is this equipment maintained well? Am I actually doing something that's safe? But decided probably even in Zimbabwe, they want things to hang together so that they don't drop you off the side. So Andy gets up there first. We're all in our gear. We get hooked on. And now, in order to get the zip line, you have to walk down 2 or 3 very steep steps into nothingness so that your harness can, come into being, and then you're sitting in your harness ready to do your zip line. That was the moment for me where I'm almost in tears. Everything inside me is terrified. And I can remember kind of breathing to myself, please, Jesus, help me. Because mentally, I know it's safe. Mentally, I know I'm not going to die, but the rest of my being is not convinced in that moment. And I had to push through that moment of fear, that piece of me that says, why am I doing this crazy thing? To take those 2 or 3 steps. The moment I was sitting in the harness, I was fine. 100%. This is going to be awesome. But those 3 steps down were the thing that I had to push past. So we're sitting there. A few moments later, they let us go. We swing across the gorge and come back. Actually, you swing across and then you sort of slowly come back. And where we settled as we're waiting for the man to come back and hook onto us to pull us back up, where we're sitting, we look down and, 100 meters below us is a fairly large crocodile swimming around. So that was fun. You see things from that vantage point hanging in the middle of the gorge that you can't see when you're at the restaurant. You can't see from the bridge. You can only see from that vantage point. What's the point? I am scared of heights. I'm actually terrified even of watching other people do things that involve heights. But I made the decision to push past my comfort zone so that I could say that fear will not rule me. It will not stop me doing things. It will not stop me experiencing the fullness of what I can experience. For Andy, a zip line was pretty much a nothing. His was the Gorge Swing. For other people, they said, man, that's just not my thing. I'm not gonna do it at all. One of our team, she decided she'd do the zip line and she did it alone. Yay for her. I kind of needed the support of having Andy alongside me, just that little bit of extra encouragement that I wasn't doing it alone. So glad I did it. So fun to do. So then we had a plan to go jet boating on the Zambezi River. So just if you do jet boating, it's above the falls, but there wasn't enough water on the occasion. So Tommy, our organizer, our local guy, came to us and he said, Janine, hey, everybody, but Janine, as one of the organizers here, I have a question for you. We can't do jet boating. What do you think about doing whitewater rafting on the Zambezi River? And I went, yes, I love whitewater rafting. That'll be awesome. Let's do it. It wasn't till he walked away and everybody was game. Everybody said they would have a go. In fact, one of our team has had a couple of near drowning, like serious near drowning episodes. And so for her, this was a really big deal. She was like, I'm kind of terrified because I've had these experiences, but I want to push past my fear and I'm going to do it. For me, it meant facing the 100-meter walk down the side of pretty much a cliff, very steep rock and metal steps, doing the whitewater rafting, which had moments of fear and adrenaline and excitement, and then walking back out at the other end. It wasn't till Tommy walked away after he initially asked us that I realized, hang on a minute, I just said yes enthusiastically because I've faced the fear of whitewater rafting and done some pretty intense rapids before. But I then thought, hang on, this is the same Zambezi River where we don't get into the water because there are crocodiles. And when we say crocodiles, to give you an idea, you can be 12, 15 feet long crocodiles. And hippos, because hippos are the most dangerous animal that kill the most humans. So you don't go near hippos. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, we're in the whitewater raft with these animals. And remember, now we're about to go whitewater rafting. And remember, I told you we swung over the zip line. The place that we are bringing our whitewater raft is the exact same pool that the day before we have seen the crocs swimming. So there is evidence, even in that area, that there are big crocs. So how was it? Well, we all survived. We all came back with all our body parts. It was amazing. We didn't see, in the event, I didn't see any crocs or any hippos. One of our team members did keep wanting to get over the side of the boat, and our guide kept saying, no, Danny, you may not get over the side. There are crocs, big crocs in this cool, calm pool. excuse me, you may not get over. We want to take everybody back. So we did this amazing adventure. Grade 5 rapids, if you know what that is, the grades go from 1 through 5. There was one grade 6. We walked around that one. Amazing time, about 4 or 5 hours on the river, massive rapids and excitement and all the things that go with that. And then calm pools where there's crocs, where you don't go swimming. An amazing experience to have with a group of people. So proud of our whole team. The one that is, scared of, has had near drowning experiences, is facing her fears. We're all facing those moments of fear. I found myself at the top of some of the, more extensive rapids, and the guide is saying, 50-50 that we will flip the boat, and you're looking at the rapid and you're thinking, so that means I'm in the water going down that rapid without a boat, just my life vest on, my helmet, and praying that I survive. We didn't in the event. We didn't flip our boat at all. We did see another boat flip, and we got to rescue some of the Slovakians, some big buff Slovakian men that were in that boat. We got to haul them out of the water and into our boat. There was lots of adventures with that, where one nearly lost his bathing suit. It was, an adventure of all of its own. So lots of fun, lots of laughter, lots of intensity, facing those moments of fear and saying, I'm scared. It doesn't feel comfortable. What if I do flip out? What if I flip out and then freak out and then have to panic and somebody has to rescue me? We get down there, but just the great adventure. We get down to the bottom and we're all exhausted. And now we're faced with the hike back up, because you're in a gorge and you've followed the gorge all the way down for 28 Ks, 28 kilometers. I think that's 19 miles, something like that. Hours of rafting, hours fun. And now we have to walk back up that 100 or more meters up a fairly sheer rock face, steep path, steep steps. And I just want to finish with the story of that, because it was the same kind of thing for each of us. For some of us, that was not too difficult. It was relatively easy for Andy and Tommy, who went on up. I thought I was doing well and I was powering my way up. I'm like, I'm at the gym every day. I'm used to this. I'm good for this. You each have to carry your life jacket, your oar, and your helmet up that steep hill. Andy, about 2/3 of the way through, I came around the corner. I thought we were near the top, and I came around the corner and I saw that we still had another third of it to go. And I was like, oh, I'm going to have to pace myself a little more to make it up there. About that moment, Andy came back and said, hey, honey, would you like me to take your gear? Would you like me to take your helmet, etc. for you, your life jacket? And I said, actually, no, I want to take it myself. And he kind of looked at me like, why would you not? And I said, I feel like I can do it myself. And for me, I wanted the sense of achievement. I knew that I could do it. I knew it would be tough, but I wanted to have that sense of achievement of I carried it all myself and I made it up. So it took a while and I had to take breaks. And at one stage, Andy had got a little further in front of me and he came back. And I was so grateful that he came back and just kind of walked near me. I didn't want him to cheer. I didn't want him to talk to me. I didn't want him to give me water. He offered all the stuff. He kept offering to take my stuff. But the fact that he walked with me, that he slowed down his pace and just walked with me at my pace, meant a great deal. I pushed past what would have been easy. It would have been easier if Andy had taken my things. But I knew that I could do it. It would just have to take me just a little bit longer. And I wanted to have that sense of, I can do this. And now I did it. Yay. For others of our team, they needed even a little bit more help. And so different ones took their times at different paces. I watched as the men in our team walked with their wives and supported them and encouraged them and helped them. The last member of our team had sustained a couple of little injuries, like knocked around on her hands and quite nasty, painful injuries, not life-threatening, nothing major, no broken bones, but painful, and was struggling to get up the hill after facing her fear. This is the lady who had nearly drowned several times. So 4 or 5 hours of facing her in fear, the adrenaline, the effort of it all, the pain, and now she's got to walk up this gorge, and she was struggling. So when she finally got up, she told us how partway up, one of the guides who had been very, very kind to her the whole way had come to her and said, "Hey, let me carry you." She was like, "No." She kept walking and walking, and he would keep coming back, "Hey, let me carry you. Let me give you a little break." Eventually, she was so hot and overcome by the experience that she agreed. And she climbed on his back. She told us that she whispered in his ear, "Hey, I love you so much." And he carried her for a little while, enough to give her a breather so she could make the last steps on her own. What's the point? She needed help, and the most courageous thing that she could do on that day, in that moment, was to say, "Actually, I recognize I can't do this on my own. I've reached my limit and I need somebody to carry me." And she bravely let him carry her for a little while. And then she said, "Okay, now I've got it." And she made her way up the hill. Well, what's all this got to do with you in your everyday life? I hope that you'll join us in Zimbabwe next year and come on some adventures. You can keep it just to your level. These things I'm talking about are all optional extras. I hope you'll join us, but even if you don't, in our everyday lives, there are moments where we get to choose whether you step out of what feels safe and comfortable and face your fear and step out and experience new things and enjoy the exhilaration and the sense of "I did that," or we get to listen to the fear and shrink back. I want to encourage you to step out. I think there's something that comes alive in us when we step into that zone. The first time I went to Zimbabwe 2 years ago, I came back with stories, and I was telling the stories of, again, all optional extras, things that I had done and seen that to me had brought me into the sense of being fully alive. And I realized that something had happened on the inside of me. And as I'm sharing the stories with these women at a women's event, I recognize that people are looking at me like, "You are crazy," and I would never do that. And it's the thing of it for me. I stepped outside of what was comfortable for me and found this sense of being alive. And for you, the things that do that for you are going to be different than the things that do that for me. For me, it's very easy to step on a stage and speak to a group of people, but maybe for you, that's the thing that's terrifying. Then step outside that. Offer to put your hand up and do something small. Start with a small stage and speak in front of people. Say grace for the group luncheon or whatever it is. Maybe you're scared to talk to people in the community. Maybe it's scary to you to join the school board or to start a new arm of your business. Don't let fear rule you. Don't let fear talk you out of doing those things. Live a little, step out and jump into these expressions of life that you get to do that scare you. But when you look back, you'll say, "Man, I did that." I'll share this one last story. Our son, a few years ago, Andy and our son did a 50K race up in the mountains, had a great time. Ben finished and immediately said, "I want to do more. I'm going to do a 100K race." So last summer, not the summer just gone, the summer before, he did a 100K race. It was the toughest thing he's ever done. They started at 2 p.m. and finished the next day. And for much of the night, he was running over boulders. the guys running alongside him were cursing, saying this is the toughest thing we've ever done. And they were experts at those kind of extreme sport events. Ben finished, and once he'd recovered, he turned to his dad and he said, man, if I can do this, I can do anything. And so I want to encourage you. What is it that you have in front of you right now that you can do, where you can say the goodness and the faithfulness, the comfort of God was with me, and look what I did. I didn't think I could, but he was with me, and I faced my fear and I did it anyway. I bless you. I bless you to know the goodness of God, the courage that comes from knowing he's with you. I bless you to step out of your comfort zone and to discover new territory, new perspectives, a whole lot more fun, exhilaration of walking with the Lord. I bless you in Jesus' name. Hey, go to the Heaven and Business website. You can check out our upcoming events. Some of them are adventure retreats and adventure events. There's the conference up there for next year, for February. We hope to see you there. Also, we've got an event coming up in Orlando, one in Billings, Montana, all sorts of things, and a retreat in Reading in January. There's all sorts of events that you can come, face your fears, be with other people, hear stories of what they're doing. We bless you. We hope to see you soon.